Right, so I happen to have a question for Keir Starmer. You claim to want the best for our country, am I right? You do? Right, okay. If that was truly the case, why are you in touch with two of the most biggest career-driven criminals of our political past, Tony Blair and Gordon Brown? These two past Labour movements, or should I say PMs, as you will, not movements. These past PMs of the old Labour movement are partially one of the many reasons as to why we're in the mess that we're in. I mean, look at the connections Tony Blair has within America, and look at the mess that he has caused with all army forces, and I believe it's Iraq. No? Hang on. I might have to look more into that. The point I'm trying to make is you are technically connecting with two criminals from our past political movement. How are you going to bring this change, like you claim, when involving the psychological and spiritual well-being of the masses, not just the select few within the House of Commons, but all on a whole? You claim to have the very hearts and the very minds and very souls of humanity at interest, but yet you're connecting with two of the most biggest criminals from our political movement. That, within my eyes, is a no-go zone. And you're digging yourself even further into the abyss, up to the point where your soul is not going to be able to get back out, lest ye repent of making this choice by connecting with these criminals, and you do the right honourable thing, which is tell them the truth. Remind them of their past and their wars that they've committed against God the Father and His Son Jesus Christ. Any right, honourable guy with a conscience would know, as clear as day, that what they did was an abomination. Well, Tony Blair for the war crimes, might I add, and Gordon Brown for the what was it? Decrease in gold pay due to selling mass amounts for less than what it was actually worth, which plays a role within the current situation that we're in now. And when I say we, I'm talking on behalf of the UK itself. The UK, I believe, is within either billions or trillions of debt, and this is due to borrowing money repeatedly. Now, you're not going to like what I'm about to share, but it's the truth, whether you like it or not. Wouldn't it make more sense to stop borrowing money, which is only contributing to the debt that we're already in, and put back the public budgets that have deliberately been cut throughout the years through greed, or as I'd like to call it, gluttony? Or better yet, wouldn't it make more sense to actually speak to the career-driven politicians that actually in fact have overseas accounts where they've actually laundered all of this money through tax cuts and only God knows what else into them putting it back where it belongs, which is within our public resources? And, might I add, to all hard workers, once again, not just the select few within the House of Commons, but all that sacrifice day in, day out, that quite literally put their lives on the line only to get taxed 45% of their annual earnings, which, if you ask me, again, is gluttony. That right there is greed. Ironically, it's the hard workers of our society that get taxed even 45% of their annual earnings. Yet I don't see this happen to the House of Commons. Where's the 45% tax cut? Or should I say tax cuts upon you government officials then? You talk about a fair economy, right? Which I'm all for and not against. If you're one for a fair economy that actually benefits all and not just the select few, like I said, wouldn't it make more sense to actually, in fact, tax the government officials 45% of their earnings, their annual earnings? And then they can have a little taste of the unnecessary pain and suffering that they've inflicted upon humanity's existence all of these years through unnecessary budget cuts due to greed and gluttony. Both the same thing, but still. The point I'm trying to make, Keir, is if you want to gain the public's trust, 1, give Jeremy Corbyn back his Labour whip. 2, reshuffle your current cabinet as we speak. Cut ties, soul ties that is, cut soul ties with old Labour government officials from the past that are partially the reason as to why we are in the mess that we're in. And bring back Jeremy Corbyn's cabinet. If you want a fairer economy, once again, which I'm all for, because it benefits everyone and not just a small percentage of you. If that's what you really want, Keir, then you're going to have to make sacrifices, champ. You're going to have to cut the soul ties off that you have with the old Labour movement. Reinstate Jeremy Corbyn his Labour whip. Bring back his cabinet that the Labour movement under the Conservative movement now as we speak have actually in fact kicked out due to anti-Semitism, I believe it's pronounced as, although don't quote me on it. If you're willing to meet me halfway and listen to this voice of truth, then we might actually get somewhere as two real human beings. You want change, and all for the greater good reasons. I want change, all for the greater good reasons. And if you want my trust, and if you want my brains, then you're going to have to work with me and make the sacrifices in order to meet my pledges that I've already put forward onto you. Because right now, the Labour movement that we have, it's weak without Jeremy Corbyn and his cabinet, alongside the cabinet that you have right now as we speak. You're all grown-ass people. You're not kids in here and in here. So I want you to shed that idea of being a child. And I want you to do your job correctly and morally. And like I said, if you want to gain the public's trust, you're not going to get the public's trust by remaining in contact with past criminals that are actually still linked to our government. What's the word I'm looking for? Movement. There you go. The government movement. Or better yet, if you want to gain my trust and the public's trust, have the police arrest Tony Blair based on solid evidence that is still, to this day, going around online via social media outlets, social media platforms. Have them arrest Tony Blair for war crimes against humanity, against God the Father and his Son Jesus Christ, and have the police take it to the magistrate, the Crown Court even, and get those involved within our public resources and the budgets that they've stolen, get them involved and force them to pay back every single penny within our public resources that they have stolen throughout the years. And put a stop to this 45% tax cut on annual wages that hard earners quite literally put their lives on the line for. Or better yet, if you want a fairer economy, which we all do, at least enforce the 45% tax rule on the government officials as well, and get them to pay 45% of their tax earnings. Therefore, it's going back within our public resources, giving them the budget boost that they require in order to do their jobs more effectively. They are my deals. Take it or leave it. It's entirely up to you at the end of the day. If I happen to have another brainstorming session full of knowledge, wisdom and logic based on biblical facts, I'll be sure to get them forward onto you, along with Jeremy Corbyn and anybody else for that matter, under the Labour movement. And the reason why the Labour movement, like I said, is on wobbly grounds at the minute is due to the fact that it is still under the Conservative Party. Whether you want to accept it or believe it or not, I know the truth. I can see it for myself. And if you want change, like I said, if you want a fairer economy like myself and everybody else, then do the right honourable thing. Reinstate Jeremy Corbyn's Labour whip, as you will, and bring back his cabinet. That the Conservatives have actually convinced Labour members now to actually evict in the first place. Reinstate Jeremy Corbyn's cabinet. Work together as a team. Stop hating one another due to indifferences, due to clashes of personality, or whatever it may be. Like I said, you're a bunch of grown-ups now. You're not a child. Intellectually, that is. You're a grown-ass soul. Isn't it time that you all started acting like it? And if you mean well, if you mean well, which I believe to some extent you do, and the rest of you do, then you will at least reflect on this video and take into consideration everything that I've shared with you. If you don't, and you choose to want to acknowledge this voice of reason, then like I said, it's on your head, and your head alone. And don't try telling me I didn't warn you as to what will happen if the greed, the corruption within the government, movement as we speak continues. Because there is a second coming of Jesus Christ. And let's just say he's not remotely happy. Not in the slightest. And he is coming back. For he is called, he is anointed. And he's going to correct the mess that we have within today's society by using his called and anointed here and here. And there we have it, champ. Keep up the good work, like I said. Drink plenty, be safe. But most of all, and most importantly, study the gospel. Apply it to your life. And reflect on what I've just said in this video. And I'm sure, who knows, later on down the line, when the timing is right, we'll even meet in person and talk about this face to face over a hot coffee. The choice is yours, like I said.